Welcome to our weekly Forex Forecast. And today we are going to do some analysis for the upcoming week of May 27th to 31st, 2019. Just before we get started here, quick disclaimer, this is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. So as usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our markets first. And then we'll dive into our charts here. It looks like my window was closed here. Just a second. Maybe we'll have to do it the other way around today. We'll go and look at our charts first, and then we'll come to our fundamental analysis. All right, so in terms of our euro dollar here, we'll start with the euro dollar. We see that price has been trading in a range. So last week we had talked about how we were looking for price to drop, and it did. But as it came into the bottom here, into this support that we had talked about previously here, so this is an important support level. And as we can see, price has given us a bullish pin bar here. So this looks bullish. So euro dollar for the upcoming week is bullish. Now it is trading in a range. So I would look for it to go towards the top of the range. So potentially towards a 1.1270-ish level. And then we could see one of these things. So still trading in a range. It's rejected the bottom of the range. Now we're looking for price to go towards the top of the range. Now we could see it go higher as well. So if we were to pull this support resistance level out, we see that price has had trouble at this level. So it could go higher into a 1.1340 level. So we have two targets here. First one is a 1.1270. Second one is a 1.1340 level. So bias right now is bullish. So what I'm saying is it could go all the way here. If it breaks out of this level here, then it could go higher into this support resistance level. And this is where we could see a turnaround like this. So for now, bias is bullish. First target 1.1270, second target 1.1340 level. So bullish bias for euro dollar. Pound dollar here, and actually what I wanted to say about that as well is we saw some negative numbers come out of the US, and that's why we have seen that US dollar actually did not do so well towards the later part of the week. Last week, in the beginning of the week, it was strong, but then we had some negative data, or we saw negative data, which turned everything around. So for this week, in terms of pound dollar here, we have an indecision candle. So this one could go in either direction. So at this point, if let's say US dollar is not doing so well because of the negative data, we could see this one go higher as well. So I will look for it to go towards a 1.2880 level, and then it could drop from there. So overall, pound is not as strong. Euro has been stronger between the two. But we have an indecision candle, so I think we could see a pullback into this previous support resistance level, which is a good strong level, goes from all the way here. And as we can see, this is the level. So I will look for it to go into 1.2880. If it holds below, then I'm looking for that continuation to the downside. So bias here is neutral, but looking for a pullback to the upside. Aussie dollar here. Aussie has been very strong. So we saw last week was a bearish bias, but price was not able to break the bottom of that candle. And now we have a bullish candle close here. So with this one, bias is bullish. So overall, it's not like extremely bullish that I'm looking for it to go all the way up here, but we have had some nice drops in all these pairs. So looking for price to pull back. So here bias is bullish. So first target would be 1.6960 level, but looking towards 0.70. So this is what I'm looking for, price to push up a little higher, go into this area, and then we could get some resistance here because as we can see, we have a ton of resistance here or support here that could turn into resistance, and here as well. So for now, bias is bullish, looking for it to go towards 0.700, and then we could see a potential drop from there. So bullish bias for now. New Zealand dollar, this one as well, for the last 2 days, we saw a pullback here. So last week we were looking for a drop. So we got that drop, but then price could not break below the support level. And we have seen price actually go up from there. So we have a bullish pin bar here. So looking for price to go higher. First target here would be 0.66. And if it goes higher, 66.70, and potentially all the way into 67.20 level, where we have a ton of support resistance here. But for now, 0.6600, 0.6670. So looking for a bullish bias. Now, just be mindful that if it does not go through this level, because we do have good support resistance at this level here as well, we could see price turn around. So just be mindful of that. But overall, bias is bullish for now for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, this has been trading in a range for some time now. The last 2-3 weeks here, it's been stuck in a range. So what we have seen here is that price dropped here. It went and tested the top of the range, and then it has dropped. So now we are back into the middle of the range. So this one is range bound, bias is neutral here. So looking for price to go into the bottom of the range here. And if it doesn't go through, then I would look for it to stay in the range here again. But for now, just looking for a drop into 1.3380 level. And this is where we'll have to see. If it doesn't break through, just like it didn't for the last 3 times, I would look for price to go back into the range. So for now, it is range bound and the bias is neutral, but looking for it to drop within the range. Euro pound here, this one has gone up quite a bit. As we can see, it came into the next support resistance level that we were looking for, back into this tweezer top, or where the previously we saw tweezer top pattern here. So now we are looking bullish, but price is into resistance. So what I would say here is, if it does not break this level at 0.8840 level, chances are it could turn around and come back again from this level. So it could turn around. So it is bullish, but this would be a great or area for price to turn around. So I would be careful here. But the target will be 0.8840. So if it goes through this level, then we're looking for 40, and it could potentially go all the way to the upside. But this is, I would not go long on this till it gets to the other side. So for now, I will watch this one. Bias is bullish. First target, 0.8940. Second one, 0.9080, if it goes through this level. So bullish for Euro Pound. Next one, Euro Swiss here. Euro Swiss has dropped quite a bit. And as we can see, it came into support and then it has pulled back a little bit. So bias here based on the daily weekly candle close is bearish, but as we saw on the daily chart, we are right into our support. This is where price had turned around previously. So this is this is a place we need to be very, very careful, because it could turn around. Now it could drop further. So bias is bearish right now. 1.1165 will be the first target. And then this is where we have a really strong support level. So this is kind of what I would look for. If it does not break through the support level, it could just go back, like I said. This is a big range that price has been trading in. If we were to move our resistance level here, you can see this range. So this is where price has been trading all this time. Big, huge range. Now it's coming towards the bottom of the range. So for now, bias is bearish. 1.1165 will be the first target. If it does go through, 1.1100 will be the second target, but chances are it could turn around right at the bottom of the range. So watch out for that. So bearish bias for now. Pound Swiss franc, this one actually did better here. So we had a big drop. Bias is bearish. Now we do have a large candle, and when we have a large candle, we can get pullbacks. So I would look for a pullback here, pullback either into 1.0050 or 1.0080, and then a continuation to the downside. So our bias here is bearish, but this is the move I would expect, a pullback and then a potential drop, or a slightly higher pullback into 1.0080. So for now, bias is bearish once we get the pullbacks out of the way. Pound yen, this one as well, we saw a nice drop here. So we have a bearish pin bar. So bias is bearish. And with this one, we could get pullbacks as well, because we have had 3 weeks of drops. When we see big drops like this, chances are price pulls back. So looking for a potential pullback into 139.70 level and then a drop, or we could get slightly bigger pullback and we could see price go into 141 level. So either way, I would look for a pullback and then a drop. So bias is bearish, looking for a move, something like this. So target here will be 137.50. And if it continues on, it could go lower. Okay, next one is Euro Yen here. This one has dropped as well. It was stuck in a bit of a range here. Now it's towards the bottom of the range. So we do need to see a break below this level. Last week, it did not do that. Euro has been quite strong, actually. So now we need to see if it will break through. So bias is still bearish, but this is the range it's been trading between 122 and 123.70. So for the last 3 weeks, it hasn't gotten out of the range. Right now, though, we have a bearish pin bar. So looking for price to drop further. However, if it does not break this level here, 122, then it could go back and do this again. So it is range bound, but bias is bearish, looking for it to break through the range, and target will be a 120.40. So bearish bias for Euro Yen as well. Dollar Yen here, this one also turned around, and we see a nice bearish candle close here. So bias is bearish. First target would be 109.00 and then 108.50. So dollar yen looking bearish. Aussie yen, this one has been stuck in this range for the entire week. And as we can see, price, actually I shouldn't have moved that. Okay, as we can see, price has been right in that range, going back and forth, very, very small move here. So right now it's into the bottom of the range. I will look for it to go towards the top of the range and then come back down again. So this is what I'm looking for. And if it does break, then I would look for a lower target here, which is 74.50. But for now, this one could go higher into 76.35, back into this range. And then we could look for a potential drop. But overall bias is bearish, but this is range bound. So just be careful with this. 74.50 will be the target to the downside. New Zealand yen, this one has been quite strong here as well. It's been trading in this range. It did slip down a little bit, but overall, we haven't seen a huge drop. It's just kind of stuck in this level. But see, we have strong support resistance in this area. So for now, bias is bearish. 71.20 will be the target, which is very close here. If it does not break through this, it could go back up. So I would be careful with that. Just like Aussie yen, this one could go back and test a little higher and go into 72.50. But overall, though, bias is bearish, and once we see it break through, then I will look for a drop. But for now, there may be a pullback before it drops, so just be mindful of that. But my bias overall is bearish, and 69.80 will be the target to the downside for New Zealand yen. CAD yen has been relatively strong as well. Not as weak or not as strong as Euro yen, but it has been stuck in a range as well. It's just gone back and forth in this range. So for the last 3 weeks, price has not gotten out. but we do have a nice bearish candle close here. So I will look to see if the price can actually break the range and move lower. Overall bias is to the downside, but just be careful, just like the other ones, we are seeing a lot of range bound moves. So if it does not break the low at 81.00, it could turn around, and then I will look for a price to go into the top of the range at 82.50, and then look for a drop from there. So right now it is range bound, but overall bias is to the downside. And once it breaks below the 81.00 level, 80.30 and then 79.50 will be the targets to the downside. All right, so now let's go on to our commodities here. We have, first we'll look at gold. Gold has been back and forth here. We were looking for it to drop. So it did drop into 1269 level here. So there's a lot of support resistance in this area. And now we have a bullish candle close. So this one has also been trading in a range. Right now, this is looking bullish. So I will look for price to go towards first the high of the range, which is 1291.50, and it could do that. However, it could go all the way into 1300 level as well, and then turn around from there, because that is a very important support resistance level coming all the way from here. So for now, looking for it to go higher. First target is 1291, second target is 1300, and then I will look for it to turn around again. So bullish bias at the moment. Silver here, silver not as strong as our gold, but I think this one could pull back further here as well. So I will watch out for that. Overall bias here for silver is to the downside, and I'm looking for price to come into this 14.00 level. For now, I think this one could go all the way into 14.85. So we may have to wait a little bit, and then it could turn around from here. So this is our 14.85 level. So this is very important support resistance level all the way from here as well and back here. So looking for a pullback and then a drop, pullback into 14.85. So slight bullish bias for a pullback, but overall bias is to the downside. Oil here, oil had a big drop last week, and this is where we are now. Like I said, when we have large drops, we'll look for a pullback. So bias here is bearish, but I would look for pullbacks in this one. And this is kind of what I would look for. So 60.50 will be the pullback level, bearish bias, and then looking for it to continue. Now, if it does not break below this week's low, which is at 57.50, it could turn around like this. So just be careful, because this is a good support resistance level here as well. But for now, bias is bearish, looking for price to pull back up and then drop. So bearish bias for oil. Next one, copper. Copper pulled back in the last couple of days as well. But overall bias is still to the downside. Now it's getting into these important support resistance levels. So bearish bias, but again, watch out for pullbacks, because we could see price go into this 2.73 level and then drop. So this is the type of move I'm looking for. If it breaks through this weak support, then it could go lower. So looking for a pullback and a drop. So bearish bias here for copper as well. Bitcoin still stuck in that area that we had talked about last week, hasn't really done much. Now, the interesting thing here is that it is holding here. And if it breaks out, when we see price holding, see how it was holding here? So it could not drop. So we had an inefficient move here, but it did not come down. And it's doing same thing here. It's holding into that top area here. Very similar move here. So it could break out to the upside. So watch out for that. And next target here would be 91.50. So I would say bullish bias here. But again, if it does not break out, then it could turn around and come back. The important thing to note will be how it reacts at the 74.20 level. If it breaks through, then I will look for a continuation. But if it doesn't, it could do one of these. It could go higher. So for now, I think overall bias still remains bullish here, but just be careful with 83.20. If it breaks down here below 74.20, then it could continue all the way down because we have a big move here that could get filled. But for now, bias is bullish for Bitcoin. S&P here, this one was interesting. We did see a drop, but this one did not break last week's low. So for now, bias is bearish overall, but if it does not break 2,800, then it could go back into the range. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But for now, overall bias is to the downside. And once we see a break here, I would look for a further drop here. It could go into 27.20 level. So for now, bias is bearish. But like I said, if it does not break this level, it could just do one of these. So just be careful. Target here is 27.20 for S&P 500. NASDAQ has also been bearish, but as you can see, it has not broken the support level yet. So bias is bearish. We have to look for price to break the support and then looking for it to drop further. Target would be 69.90, so let's say 70. So 7,000 will be the target here. Bearish bias for NASDAQ. DAX here, this one also dropped here, but again, we have not seen a break of the support. So looking for price to drop further here. First target is 11850. Second target here would be 11700. So bearish bias for DAX as well. FTSE here, this one has been range bound as well. All the indices have been range bound over the last 3 weeks. So we see that price had dropped, then dropped further, went back. So this is our range it's been trading in. So now looking for price to drop further towards the bottom of the range here. And this is what we're looking for. So bias is bearish. First target is 71.50. And if it does go drop below that, the next one would be 7050. So bias is bearish for FTSE as well. Nikkei. Nikkei hasn't really done a whole lot. This one is also range bound. And as we can see, back to back, we have had indecision candles here. So with this one, price is still in a range. So I would look for price to bounce off of 21,500, then drop. And if it goes into the bottom, it could bounce out of off of 20800. So we have to be careful. However, it could drop through this level. So this is the move that we could see. So this is the move I'm watching out for. But if it does not break the support, because as we can see, this is a strong level here, it could go up. So that will be the caution. For now, this one is looking neutral. All right, so let's go on to our Forex factory here because we skipped doing our fundamentals. So we have parliamentary elections in Europe. So watch out for a gap today in euro. So that's just something to be careful about. Okay, on Monday here, there's bank holiday in the US as well as in UK. So low volume in trading. We do have Kuroda speaking. So Bank of Japan Governor Kuroda has been trying to do verbal intervention. So they keep talking about how they're going to loosen the monetary policy. So any more comments like that around loosening monetary policies could be negative for yen, which means the yen crosses could pull back, something to watch out for. On Monday, not a whole lot. Tuesday here, we have Reserve Bank of New Zealand financial stability report, as well as Governor Orr speaking. So Reserve Bank of New Zealand cut their interest rate last time. So if they continue on with the same type of commentary where they are concerned about the economy, this could have a negative impact here for New Zealand dollar. So watch out for that. Then we have Bank of Japan. We also have business confidence numbers out of New Zealand. And we have our Reserve Bank of New Zealand Governor Orr speaking again. So central bankers here, watch out for these currencies, especially the New Zealand dollar here. This one could drop. Wednesday, we have Bank of Canada, so another central bank here, not expecting an interest rate change, but again, the commentary at this point from our central banks is very, very important, because if they start having negative commentary like we saw from Reserve Bank of Australia, anything like that, any negative comments could have a negative impact. But we may not see that, because last time, they said that they're not looking to cut rates. So there's definitely no interest rate cut on the horizon. So this one could be neutral. But if they are at all positive, because Canada did sign the trade agreement with US, which could have positive impact. So there could be positive comments. So just kind of watch out for the commentary, because it just will be the comments that will drive any of the moves, not looking for an interest rate change at this point. In Australia, we have building approvals, capital expenditure, again, important news to watch out for. Annual budget release here for New Zealand as well. So in the Asian session, we are likely to have see an impact here as well. And then Thursday, we have a holiday in the Eurozone, so lighter trading there. We have preliminary GDP numbers for the US. These numbers are very important. And what we want to see is either it meets forecast or is higher than forecast, because that will be positive for the US dollar. But if it's a negative number here, US dollar is likely to drop then. And then we have a council member speaking. Okay, China, we have manufacturing PMI numbers. Chinese numbers usually have an impact on Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar, because they're two big trade partners with China. So when these numbers come out, look for that impact on Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar. And then on Friday, we have GDP numbers for Canada, and we have a ton of data out of the US here. So we saw over Thursday and Friday, when data came out of the US, it was negative, and we saw US dollar basically drop. So all the US dollar crosses went up against the dollar. So it had a clear negative impact on the US dollar. So if we see more negative numbers, we can expect a similar impact. So just be mindful of that. All right, so that's all I have. If you would like to, I do a spreadsheet that I send out. If you have not signed up for it, you can go to tradingwithvenus.com/forecast to download that. So that's the page you want to go to, tradingwithvenus.com/forecast. It's free. You can just download it. You just need to do it once, and then you'll receive it every week or every weekend from me. Okay, so that's it. Dollar Swiss franc. Did we not cover dollar Swiss franc? Let's take a look. Dollar Swiss franc is bearish, so I will look for a pullback and then a drop. Something like this. So bias will be bearish. We could get a higher pullback into 1.0080 and then a drop from there, because we did have a big candle here and there can be a pullback. So bias is bearish though, and target is 0.9980 and then potentially 0.9920. So bearish there. Any other questions before we wrap it up? All right, so that's it for today. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you next week. Have a great trading week. Bye for now.